The Frozen North, episode 85.
The best of 2015. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 85 of the Frozen North Gaming Podcast. Sorry about the delay. We had some... Well, I was sick, is the short answer. And I was unable to record last week, so we are a week delayed on this, and I do apologize. But because of that, the episode should be a little bit longer today. We got a little bit more content here for you. So, yeah, absolutely. So I'm here alongside with... my name is JJ. I'm here alongside my friend Mark.
Howdy, y'all! My name is Mark.
And the guy who is always wrong, it's Brian.
See, it's not that I'm always wrong. It's that you just disagree with me, which makes you wrong.
I don't know, man.
So, like, I'm right, but you disagree with me, so it makes you wrong.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I feel like
That's
if
it's
Wikipedia
logic.
disagrees with you, then you're wrong.
Well, but here's the thing. Wikipedia is wrong at that point, from my perspective.
Oh, from your perspective.
Yeah, it's all a matter of
Sure,
perspective.
from your perspective, you're always right.
Correct. So, I'm always right. It's just that everyone else around me is just constantly wrong.
It's good. Where are we going with this?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
I
even
don't
know.
know.
Occam's razor.
Yes, Occam's
There
razor.
you go. All right. What the heck have you guys been playing?
Mark, go right ahead.
What are video games?
You know, if anybody else had said that, I probably would be like, you weirdo. But you saying that, okay, I get it.
I believe I finished playing The Witcher 3 a few days after our last recording.
Solid.
Yeah.
So I beat The Witcher 3,
Like 2 weeks
and
ago.
it was so good that no other game can ever live up.
Gotcha.
So I'm retiring from video games.
Well, that's weird, because VR's coming out soon. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to unretire once I get my headset.
Okay, you're going to pull a Michael Jordan?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
No, I also played, because you guys instructed me to, I played the Final Fantasy 15 demo, whatever it's called. I don't know.
The Platinum demo.
Yeah, there you go. I played that. It was fine.
Yeah, it was
It's
a demo.
short. It's nice and short.
Yeah.
But it at least gives you like a little taste of the gameplay and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I also started into Life is Strange, but it's not really catching my interest, unfortunately. So, I don't know. That's it for me.
Interesting. Okay. Brian.
I've played so many games, I'm not even going to talk about them since last time I recorded. I'll just say that I am currently playing Heroes of the Storm all day today with my friend Brandon. I just beat Metro 2033. Started Shadow Warrior on Steam. Pretty campy little throwback to 1990s gaming. And then playing Ratchet & Clank to gear up for the movie and also the re-release of the reboot game coming out. So,
Nice.
yeah, man.
I'm playing still Metal Gear Solid 5. That game is long. But I'm very, very close to being done. I think I'm mission 42. And it's a really, really just phenomenal game. I mean, I've said that a million times over. But great game. If you haven't checked it out, definitely give it a shot. And also trying to finish up Fire Emblem Fates Birthright. I am very close to beating that as well. I want to get both of these done this week so that I can be ready for Bravely Second when it comes out next week. So, because that'll be Bravely Default was such a phenomenal game for playing on a handheld while watching Netflix because it has the auto battle feature.
Oh, yeah.
So you could grind like crazy and just like I maxed out everything in that game because I was able to do that and just watch Netflix while I was, doing that. So
I would like to point out to the readers that a while back I was watching Netflix while playing a handheld game and got chastised by these two here. So,
yeah, but there's no auto battle on Suikoden.
yeah, there is. You just click the button, and you don't look at it.
Actually, there
There's
literally
auto
auto battle.
There is literally an auto battle. Yeah, I
but
never use it though.
It doesn't do any
It's not
good
very
stuff.
good.
It's
Yeah.
just
Hey, I won
it's
with
just
it.
physical attacks.
Yeah, you just
Yeah, but that was Suikoden.
Oh,
It's a little. From our perspective, you're wrong.
damn it! Good. Hey, on touche.
So we got a good episode today for you guys. We're talking about our best of 2015. We're going to be doing our top 5 games from last year. Fantastic year for gaming.
Yeah, it really
let me
was.
say, holy crap. And, I mean, judging by this year, from what we are seeing, like, we haven't played much that's come out this year.
Yeah.
But just what's in the future,
Yeah.
like Final Fantasy 15, Bravely Second, VR, holy crap.
Yeah.
Freaking No Man's Sky. What else am I missing? Uncharted 4, Star Fox. I mean, this year is going to be phenomenal as well.
Possibly
it looks
the NX and Zelda?
like. Yeah, absolutely. We'll see.
I think we talked about it in chat. This year has the potential to be one of the best gaming years ever, and also one of the most disappointing years ever. It's like one of those where it's like,
it could be totally hit or miss.
yep.
It could be really good, really bad.
Most anticipated game of the year is Job Simulator.
Okay, so I watched a stream of it. It looks like Mark's kind of game. You sit there and you go over applications and you stamp hired on it.
Yeah.
And
Again, if anyone else had said that.
It's got that like Stanley Parable sense of humor.
Exactly. Yep.
So we're going to be talking about that. We got a side quest here in a minute from Urkable Gamer, and we got our contributors who are talking about their favorite games of 2015 as well. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. With that, why don't we get moving on? Before we get to our news and all that stuff, like I said, we got a side quest from our friend Urkable Gamer. So he's here to talk to you about Hitman. Take it away.
Hello everyone, Eric here, and I've got a quick review just for you. Hitman is a series I'm only a little familiar with. I've played through all of Blood Money, which is considered to be the best in the series, and then Absolution, which is considered to be the worst in the series. I can say that I actually loved both games quite a bit, but I would say that Blood Money is by far the better game. But today I'm here to talk about Hitman. Yeah, you know, Hitman? No, not the first game that was released in the year 2000, but rather the episodic game that was released in 2016. This review will cover the intro pack, which on the outside looking in looks a little light on content, but we'll see. Hitman Intro Pack is a $15 game with 2 training missions and 1 giant level which is highly replayable. The one level in the game is Paris, a large open playground for Agent 47 to explore and get creative with killing his targets. Even though it's just one level, the amount of things that you can do and all of the different challenges to complete offer hours of gameplay and variety on how to complete your mission. It is something that I thought might not hold my attention for long, but after playing it a few times, there is still a few approaches that I want to try out. At the beginning of a mission, you pick where you want to start, what clothes you'll be wearing, and what items you want to take with you. This allows many different ways to start your mission, but you might very well find something during the mission that makes you want to try a different approach. Maybe you'll find a winch that will bring a chandelier crashing to the ground, potentially killing your target, or maybe you'll find some rat poison in a shed that you feel just needs to be in someone's food. Here's the setup for the Paris level. You are sent to kill Viktor Novikov and Dalia Margolis. They are holding a fashion show, so the area is very populated, which can make it difficult for someone's death to go unnoticed. After blending in with the crowds, I discovered that one of the male models looks a lot like me. I was able to get him alone, knock him out, and take his clothes. I then learned that the model whose identity I just stole has a meeting scheduled with Dalia Margolis after he goes out on stage. I proceeded backstage to get my makeup done, and then stepped out onto the catwalk. Then I realized the model after me was being escorted by my other target, Viktor Novikov. While scouting earlier, I found an upstairs area where I could sabotage the rigging above the stage. I hurried upstairs and dropped the support structure, killing my target and about a dozen other people by mistake, but the job was done. I then proceeded to meet with Dalia. She had a job for who she thought was the male model Helmut Kruger. Dalia gave me a cyanide pill for someone who she needed taken care of, but I just put it in her champagne instead. She drank the poison and almost immediately died. I then escaped via helicopter, and no one knew I was the killer. Moments like these are what make Hitman great. This Hitman, for some sad reason, essentially is an online game. There's no multiplayer. But if you want to know what challenges there are to complete, or keep track of leaderboards, you have to keep a stable connection. The real question is, why am I kicked back to the main menu when I'm disconnected from my single-player game? Or maybe even worse, why are my online saves and offline saves not compatible? That is just complete nonsense to me. So what you should learn from this is, if you have unstable internet, don't buy Hitman. Another weird thing is that some of the menus are really slow, at least at launch, and this is because of the online connection. The online nature of the new Hitman is really the only downside I have with the game. To me, it just feels like Hitman. The game gives you the freedom to disguise yourself as anyone, use about anything as a weapon, and make your kills look like accidents to your heart's content. I'm looking forward to the future of this game. Let's just hope that future installments are as good as this one with a few improvements to go along with it. If I need to put a score on this quick review, I would give Hitman Intro Pack about 4 out of 5 stars. Big thank you to JJ, Mark, and Brian, and I'll see you all later.
And we're back. Thank you, Eric. If you want to hear more of Eric's stuff, he is, we've had him on the show before. Erkable Gamer is his screen name. He's on Twitter at Erkable, ERKABLE Gamer, GAMER. And he's on YouTube, Erkable Gamer, and Twitch, Erkable Gamer. And sometimes, like, if I'm not available and he is, he'll volunteer to stream for us on Wednesday and Thursday nights as well. So go check him out. He's always a good time, and he always plays these games that I never think I want to play until I watch a little bit of it, and then I'm like, dang it, I got something else I got to buy.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, in this case, I have never played a single Hitman game ever.
Ooh.
I have played the first 2, and what it sounds like is they went back to their roots, where it's like a sandbox. So the first 2, it's they put you in a little sandbox, right? And they say, hey, you got to kill this guy. And they don't give you, there's no like point A to point B. It's literally like, all right, let's figure this out. So it's, unfortunately, the first 2 were really, really, really marred down by too much trial and error, where you're like, all right, let's try going in here. Nope, that didn't work. I'm dead. And you have to always start the mission completely over from scratch. Yeah, but it sounds like this one is what it should have been. But back when the first 2 came out, it was, 90 or 2001?
Said 2000 for the first one.
Yeah, I think it like very early on.
I remember I got Hitman 2 as a free game when I got my ATI Radeon 9800 Pro graphics card.
Honey, that's a
all
high
in
five.
wonder.
That's a high five.
Graphics card. High five. That game was very difficult, but it was really cool. There aren't any games like it.
No, I liked it, but I can tell right away. I can tell you right away that later on in the game, I just looked up the order of operations, because when you get to the very end and you die and you have to start all the way at the very beginning of the level again and do it all over again.
It's almost kind of Bloodborne-esque.
Yes.
You get used to everything you have to do.
Yep. So it was very trial and error, but it sounds like they went back to their roots, which is very exciting with modern day like technology coupled with it.
Yeah.
So good deal.
Very cool. All right, if you would like to submit a side quest like Eric did, you can do that at any point, and we'd be happy to play it on the show for you. You can edit it yourself, or you can have me edit it. Doesn't matter. Just send it over to frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. We usually look for about somewhere between like 5 to 8 minutes or something like that. If it's a little shorter, a little longer, usually I can work with it. It's not that big of a deal. But by all means, send us your submissions. Talk about whatever the heck you want. It does not matter. You want to tell us, we're wrong about something. You want to tell Brian he's wrong.
All matter of perspective.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Knockers on Twitch, because it just cracks me up every time he comes in and says, "Hey, is the guy who's always wrong here?"
Well,
And
to
just
me,
makes
it's
me
the
laugh.
guy who's always right.
It's the guy who's flexible with the facts.
No,
He had some things to say about your Batman hero speech the other day.
and we had a Facebook thing about this.
Yep.
And I stick by my
Actually,
guns.
a lot of people had stuff to say.
Yeah.
Like, how could you call Batman a fuddy-duddy?
He is a fuddy-duddy. The
Oh, boy.
DC heroes are fuddy-duddies. I'm
I
sorry.
agree. DC is full of fuddy-duddies.
like not Batman though.
Yeah, here's Batman. Let me just do a I'm going to do a Batman impression. I'm Bruce Wayne. My parents died.
The Lego Batman character makes the point perfectly about how much of a fuddy-duddy he is.
like
Wait a minute. Okay, Mark, hold on. You remember when we played D&D? Is that not Brian's character?
no. Let me explain.
Brian's a fuddy-duddy. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not
No, hold
going to say he isn't.
Hold on. The silent. Okay, yeah, true. I play a fuddy-duddy, but let me explain Batman. He's always like, he's so like entrenched into his like, my parents died, and so I have to be this symbol, and I will never kill. And I'm always like, you're so boring, Batman. Are you the only person that ever had their parents gunned down? Are you the only person in the whole
boy.
world? Are you really not going to be like, you know what? Sometimes criminals need to be destroyed, not, I will never give up on my never killing. I must save you every time. So boring. Like I don't like to.
That's just.
I don't like to be able to
I don't
predict.
know.
I don't like to be able to predict exactly what a hero is going to do. Superman, Batman. I don't know as much about Aquaman and like Green Lantern, but I can tell you every Batman story because he has these set rules that you can't ever break. So it's not. It's like, okay, yeah, well, he stopped the Joker. Cool. He's gonna imprison him. Okay, cool. And Joker's gonna break out again, and Batman's gonna spin his wheels forever because he doesn't learn.
Don't watch Daredevil season 2.
No, and what's funny is I've heard the Batman versus Superman Batman is actually has a little bit more character to him, and it's not so fuddy duddy.
Yeah, the rest of the movie's terrible, but that part's pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. Like I've heard that they took Batman and they
We're
brought
gonna
him
get so much
up.
hate mail.
They brought him up out of fuddy duddiness.
All right. Let's move on.
Fuddy duddy.
Oh, boy. But yes, if you'd like to email us, do so at frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website at fngaming.net. Our Facebook is facebook.com/thefrozennorth. Twitter is at FNPodcast. Blog is frozennorthpodcast.blogspot.com. Our Twitch is twitch.tv/frozennorthgames, where I stream Wednesdays and Thursday nights, sometime usually between 6 and 9 p.m. Central Time. Our YouTube is Frozen North Gaming, where I usually have been lately releasing the episodes one day early on Sundays instead of Mondays. So go over there. We'd like to get some more traffic over there. And we're on iTunes, where we would love for you to subscribe to and rate us on there. Leaving comments is always helpful as well, because that gets other people to be allowed to see us. So visibility is good on an audio podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Just let us know what you like, what you don't like. Just tell us what you think about the show. Boom.
Boom.
Brian, what do we got for news?
Guys, let's talk about VR. It's a little bit old news. Y'all know by now VR is finally here. We are in a world now where virtual reality is a reality.
That's right. Dozens of people.
Over several
headsets.
people have VR right now. With all the wonderment and excellence that VR does present, we are experiencing the typical issues with huge popular launches with
Yeah.
Oculus and now Vive, HTC Vive, having some shipping issues. I will say, I thought it was very, very strange how Oculus handled it, though. They didn't. There was no like.
Oh yeah, they were silent for a long time.
Which, like, you can't do that.
Agreed.
You can have shipping problems because that's something that is expected. Like, if you were to tell me, oh, these brand new hardware that's the pre-order sold out in minutes are having shipping problems, I would say the water is also wet. Right? That's something that you expect.
Yeah.
What you don't expect is for a company to literally give nothing to the customers. No one got updates on anything. It was like their shipping dates just got moved, and then nothing. It was just like,
Yep.
well, but why?
And then a week later, they said, in 2 more weeks, we'll update you on shipping.
So they only, it was very like, hey, that's probably not a good way to handle it. You need to at least explain, and maybe they don't know, but at least say, hey, we don't really know what's going on. We're looking at it. Just give us some time. But they didn't say anything. They literally said nothing.
Yep.
And then finally, they came out with the whole components were missing or had to reorder components, and what does that mean?
Yeah. Who knows?
The component, the VR component.
There's been a lot of theories, but we don't need to go over.
No. There's been a lot of issues. Vive,
It's been unfortunate.
The Vive also released a week later, and they're also having shipping issues, but the companies need to handle it better. You gotta be out in front. You gotta tell people, hey, here's why it's shipping slower.
Yeah.
We're gonna get it to you. We'll give you regular updates. We know you spent $800/$600 on this, so give me something.
It's pretty frustrating.
Yeah.
But I mean, in a year, it's going to be a non-issue.
Of
No one's
course.
even going to remember it.
But VR is here. Mark is so excited.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I watched a couple live streams on it, and that's pretty insane. So that'll be wrap it up on our VR talk. It's kind of old news, but we're at Frozen North. We're with it. We're hip to the gaming scene. So hey,
That's right.
also a little bit of old news, but I want to let everybody know that please go play Star Wars Rogue Squadron, which is now available on Steam, and just relive some glory. That's that game right there. What can you say? It's Rogue Squadron. One of the best Star Wars properties, that I can remember.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. All the ships you can fly around.
That game was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Star Fox meets Star Wars.
And they had the Naboo fighter
Yep.
built into the game before Episode 1 came out.
Yep.
You got your code after it came out.
That's so cool.
Oh, man.
Okay, let's talk real quick about the Final Fantasy event that happened a few weeks ago. In case you didn't know, Final Fantasy 15 is releasing on September 30th. They announced that. They also released the Platinum demo. I think we've all three played it. Mm-hmm. It was I was impressed by it, but
the way it looked was gorgeous.
looked
Yeah.
fantastic.
Good
Looked
graphics.
unbelievable. I'm not sold on the combat yet. I'm still not, and not
What, you don't
because-
like hold A to win?
No, not because like I like hack and slash instead of turn based. It's not that. Targeting felt still a little off, which was a big issue in episode Do Sky.
I had a real problem trying to get away from the Iron Giant by like targeting the
Right.
and I was like, come
It's
on,
like
come on.
if you've got them both on the screen at the same time.
Yep.
It's for me. It was pretty much automatically always going to him, and it's
Yes.
like, no, I don't want to run
Yep.
towards the bad guy. I'm trying to get away.
Yeah, it had some issues, but overall, it was a tech demo. Let's be real. This demo was like step on this plate and change the weather. Step on this plate
Right.
and change the time of day. But it looked great. I had a little bit of performance issues on my end, but it might have just been because I just got done playing a game on my PC at 60 frames per second, and I think the jarringness of because it's 30, maybe a little under.
Yeah, because I didn't notice. I didn't have any issues.
So
I didn't either.
Perhaps that was just me going from computer to straight away to
That's
that
your
demo.
perception, though.
Perception is reality, as they say. So yeah, the other announcements at that they're making a movie because that worked out really well for them last time.
Kingsglaive. This one's not going to be like in theaters, though.
Right.
It's just going to be online.
And isn't it about the car? I'm pretty sure the car's named Kingsglaive, isn't it?
No, not even close.
Really? No. I read some.
Not even
theories.
not even
Okay.
close.
Well, it does take place. It does take
not
place
even
in the,
remotely close.
it does take place in the past. There's not going to be
Nope.
in the future.
Nope.
Well, because I know that none of the characters are in the game.
Correct.
Well, so what is it even? What is it even doing?
What was that guy's name from
Sean Bean.
from Twitch?
Oh.
What are you talking about?
The guy who says he's always wrong.
Oh, Knockers.
Oh, well,
There
I
you
don't
go,
know.
Knockers.
There you go, Knockers. That one's for you, buddy.
So what's Kingsglaive about then?
Kingsglaive. Okay, so
I don't know.
I'm going to explain it if you give me a second, Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Whoa!
So first of all, the car, I believe the car has its own name. It's like Regalia or something like that or whatever. But that's a completely separate thing. This movie actually takes place at the same time as the game.
Okay.
So the game has to do with the kingdom being taken over and Noctis escaping with his buddies.
Right.
And them going through what they need to do to reclaim the throne at some point, whatever.
Okay.
This is basically what happens at the kingdom while the boys are away.
So right after he left.
Basically, yeah. So it's like features the king and his king's guard, which is like called the King's Glaive,
Makes
like
sense.
the knights that are the elites that protect the king. That's what it's about,
Gotcha.
essentially.
Well, that movie's coming out to supplement this game, and then they have also, and I think only one episode's out right now, but they're doing a 5-part anime. Also to supplement the game, so they're going
Called Brotherhood, yeah.
they're
The
going
first episode's on
full-
YouTube right now.
They're going full bore on this Final Fantasy 15 thing. A lot of cross promotion and cross lore, which is pretty cool. I haven't watched the.
You haven't said the most important part yet. The car flies.
I was hold on.
Oh, I just spoiled it. Whoops.
You did.
Well, I was gonna say, I was literally gonna say,
completely
and then I
ruined it.
think the biggest news. Well, JJ, this is all ruined now because of Mark.
Yep.
I think the biggest thing that we.
Hey, he's the one who's always wrong, and I'm the one who ruins everything. We make a good team.
I think the thing that excited me the most, because JJ and I had actually talked about it, I think right before this event, is airships, right? And we're like, well, how's this world going to work with airships? You know, and is it going to be like Xenoblade Chronicles X, where it's just like a big world, fly around, do whatever? And then at the end of the trailer, the car transforms.
Very end of the. What I was gonna say was if you haven't seen the new trailer that's called Final Fantasy 15 Uncovered, go just watch the trailer
Yep.
and then watch like the last 15 seconds of it,
Yeah.
and you'll thank me later. Mark just ruined it.
Mark
though.
ruined it.
They
So,
all
like,
know.
in
It's
the
been on
last-
every site.
The last 15 seconds,
Yeah.
the car like transforms into a freaking aircraft.
Yes.
And lifts off and starts flying around. Now, initially, I thought it was going to be a like zones in the
Right.
game, not just one big giant open world. But this makes me think it's going to be one massive, huge open world.
Same. It'd be very weird to be able to fly around in a zone and then go through loading screens.
Then
that would be
loading.
such a weird combination. Like fly really fast, but wait for loading. You know,
Right.
So, but that's exciting. And I read a couple people theorize that the car is just going to be like that initial slower flying machine, and there actually is going to be an airship in the
That's
game.
possible.
So that would
Could
be amazing if that rumor is true.
And I'm so happy that they're doing away with just standing in your cockpit and then looking at points on a map and just clicking one of the dots.
It's going to make the world feel bigger. It really is, having the ability to fly around.
Right.
So that's exciting.
Now, really quick, I'm going to just go on a tiny little bit of a tangent right now, and this is because, again, I'm a massive Final Fantasy fan. I appreciate what they're doing. I think it's cool that we're getting all this extra content. I think it's awesome that they had all these announcements, and I think it's great. But I think they're missing the point of what made Final Fantasy great initially. And I talked to you guys a little bit about this the other day. Final Fantasy just, it's something we grew up with and something that just touched us all in a way, the fans, that it was like, I've never seen this in a game before. And this has just opened my eyes, not only to like, how the game looks and how it plays, but these characters, they're all memorable. The story is phenomenal. The worlds are just so immersive. And it's what they're trying to do with this is trying to give it the same impact that Final Fantasy VII had for the industry. When Final Fantasy VII came out, we talked about this before, it absolutely blew things up. People who had never played RPGs before were like, what the heck is this? They wanted to play it.
Yep.
They jumped in and they were like, holy crap, this game is here. It's awesome. And these games have been out like this for a while. What have I been missing? I feel like with all this stuff being pushed out in the beginning before the game's even out, they're trying to force it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm afraid of, is that it's going to end up backfiring. Final Fantasy VII, yes, they had all these advertisements. They threw it on TV and had commercials for it and everything like that. But the game sold itself. They just let people see the game, and that was that. They didn't have all this extra crap with it. And I think this is kind of what I was telling you guys the other day. That's if Square really wants to make a successful game that's going to sell millions of copies and change the industry, I don't understand why it has to be a Final Fantasy title. Why can't they just make a new IP? Like, I'm all for making a Final Fantasy game that has all this extra stuff and has all this sweet content and updated graphics and appeals to the masses and everything like that, but not just because. You shouldn't don't give it all this extra stuff just because you think that Final Fantasy needs to be back on top again. It doesn't. It absolutely does not. It just needs to be a great game that's memorable and hits us in a good place.
And to expand on what you're saying, I agree with you for almost 90% of that. The only thing is what you need in a Final Fantasy game, and what Final Fantasy VII had is, oh my God, come over here and check this out. Look what happened, right? I think I think they understand that because you've seen the summons, right? Mm-hmm. So,
oh yeah,
the thing that made 7 good is not the formula. People keep getting stuck on this like Final Fantasy formula, which it's an RPG, right? But Square Enix has always been cutting edge, and I think they've lost that over the years, or they're not the cutting edge anymore. And they're trying to get back to that, and they experimented and failed on 12 and 13. And because you could see them starting to shift on 10, then 12 came out, and you can see him trying to find that like moment of like, because I remember 7, like I wanted to watch my brother play it because of all the summons and all the like the amazing scenes it had, and it was like that whole oh my God, you have to check this part out, like the scene in Nibelheim with Sephiroth in the fire, that cut scene right there, like all this stuff was like viral video YouTube bait, like dude, this game, look at this scene, right? And I feel like they understand that okay with 15 because I see them trying to make things. It's just today's modern gaming. It's so hard to, I guess, iterate without having like, hey, here's this game that's going to literally push your, they have to figure out a way to make Final Fantasy.
I mean, basically,
talked about again.
Final Fantasy VII, what it did was it
Yeah.
created
a buzz.
It created cinematic storytelling. In
Well,
video gaming,
absolutely,
essentially.
but it did that with just the game alone.
Right, exactly.
I would have much rather have just
I
had
don't-
the game come out and shaved 3 years off of this and gotten it 3
Well,
years
I don't
ago.
think
with you.
I don't think any of what they're doing here is like the core team stopping work on the main game to make this other
No.
stuff. I think that's neither here nor there. The game itself just needs to be really good,
Right.
and it's not a specific formula like Brian's saying.
it
It's
needs.
and the other problem is every game is super cinematic and amazing now, so it's hard to stand out today.
It's hard to iterate without having it's just different times, and I know Square Enix is trying, and you can see that, and like I don't really care about the whole extra stuff. The movie and the anime is great, but you're right, it has to sell itself. Like,
Right.
you're not going to be like, oh, the movie's awesome, but the game sucks, but you have to play the game now because you watched the movie. Like, no, the game needs to be the big, huge.
Although it's worked for Marvel.
It has
I like some of those movies, so I'm going to go see all
of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
True.
I am optimistic because I see the Square Enix kind of understanding where their roots were. With,
Oh, absolutely.
with
And
15.
I'm totally optimistic. I think the game looks amazing. I actually got one of the Ultimate Editions.
You know, people are demanding more. Didn't you tell me that?
Oh yeah. People are demanding more. They actually they tweeted on Twitter that they were going to try and see
Yeah.
what they could do to get more out.
Yep.
And it's a lot of it has to do with scalpers. People are buying
Oh, yeah.
like 5 copies and then selling it, which is BS. But I got mine, so I'm happy.
Yep. You're good.
But no, I mean it's just I'm just saying like they can do all this stuff, extra stuff. It's
Yeah.
great. It's fine. I'm just saying from a fan, you don't need to necessarily. Like
Sure.
you are done impressing us on this stuff. If you want to impress new people and bring new people in, just make a new game. Make a new IP.
Yeah.
You could experiment all you want with that stuff. Do all this extra stuff with that. By all means, go for it. I mean, Final Fantasy
Oh,
has each game is different from the last anyways. It's not like you have to do a continuation of a story or anything like that. You're making a new game regardless.
Yeah.
Why the only reason you're throwing the Final Fantasy title on it is to cater to the people who are already fans.
Right.
Which I mean that just makes no sense to me because you can cater to them by making a regular
I don't think
Final
it just
Fantasy game.
caters to existing fans,
Well,
though. I think the Final Fantasy name is like a token they can cash in whenever they want for free publicity, essentially, because it's such a notable title.
Right.
So that, from a business perspective, it's like
Well,
how
and
Hollywood never makes
it's-
original movies anymore.
Well, and it's hard to tell a company to take your flagship and go like, just put it over to make it a side thing now, and start making the big. They want Final Fantasy to be the big thing, like it was back.
It's not
then.
the small batch artisanal side product. It's the
It's
Jim
their
Beam.
thing, and they keep trying to want it to be the thing, and I feel like they're starting to understand what made it the thing back in the day.
I just don't want them to force it. Is what is all what it comes down to.
I agree. They need to slow down, figure out. I'm getting confident that they're not going to make the same mistake they did with 13.
I think this game is going to be good. I really do.
If it sucks, I'll complain to the end of the earth with you.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, we'll have moved on from 13.
That's
Although
right.
we'll probably still be like 13 is where it started.
It couldn't be worse than 13. I mean, how is that possible?
Yeah. All right, and one last news article here that actually has to do with this whole PlayStation thing. Oh, so 4.5 could be announced before October. Yeah. So if you didn't know, PlayStation is going to be releasing a beefier PlayStation called PlayStation 4.5. That's what the people are calling it now, or PlayStation 4K.
Wait, they are going to, or it's a rumor?
It's going to be so according to this, they're going to announce it before October.
Okay.
So it's pretty, and it makes 100% sense for Sony. Why? Because what do they own? They own Blu-ray, right? Where are we going? 4K, right? What do they want their machines to do?
And they sell televisions.
When do we want it? Now.
Everybody. Well, it is a rumor, but everybody's going like, yeah, this kind of makes sense for Sony, especially because they sell 4K TVs, Blu-ray. 4K is coming. So they're going to potentially beef up their PlayStation to not play 4K games. People are not that powerful. That high-end PCs have trouble running 4K games, but to run 4K movies and media. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to add some hardware to make it a little beefier to run the
And
less
maybe they
demanding.
could higher frame rate on existing games.
Exactly. I mean, it's going to be a more powerful system, but people are always saying like, oh, they're going to do 4K gaming.
Yeah,
You wouldn't
we'll
be able
see.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't be able to have a retail like PlayStation 4 for 4.5. It'd be like $800, $900 if you wanted to beef it up that much. Anyway, that's your news. News. News.
Very cool. As always, you can see links to those news articles that Brian mentioned on our website at fngaming.net in the description on the episode. So, our contributor question last week, 3 weeks ago, holy crap, was what was your game of the year 2015? And considering we had a lot of people who have talked to us and submitted stuff about their favorite game of last year already quite a bit, we had a few people just talk about games that they loved from last year, which I think is more than acceptable. So why don't we head over to our contributors, and they're going to talk to us a little bit about gaming in 2015. Take it away.
Hey guys, Mark the Machine here. Best game of 2015. Easy answer. It's The Witcher 3. It's not even a question. That game is utter role-playing perfection. The combat, the story, the small moments, the big ones, the graphics, the level design, everything. It's just incredible. This is not the first time that I have lauded the amazingness of this game. So I will be discussing my second favorite game of 2015, and that is Bloodborne. Picking up where the Souls games slightly left off, in that it's very easy to build a much faster combat character. It's the only way to build a character. It's offensive rather than defensive, so you're constantly moving, constantly swinging. It's almost as if they took a Souls game and made it a little bit more arcade feeling, but still made it as punishingly difficult as a traditional Souls game. The Lovecraft influences are gorgeous. The graphics are beautiful. The lore is a little bit more interesting to me, but I guess maybe I'm a Lovecraft nerd. And honestly, that Fast and Furious combat is just where it's at. There was nothing more annoying in Souls games than just kind of hiding behind a shield and waiting for an opportunity. And now you're rolling, ducking, dodging, trying to get a moment to strike. And that's just a lot more interesting and a lot more fun per my taste. So game of the year, game of the decade, my favorite game of all time is Witcher 3. But if that game hadn't come out in 2015, Bloodborne would have gotten it from me. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Okay, me and Jillian are hanging out. This is Shanna. You know me by now. I am host of the Fool's Lantern podcast. The question this week, favorite game released in 2015. I did not play enough games released in 2015 to have an answer, but I have a lovely assistant with me, Jillian Laird, and she has played a lot of games from 2015.
Well, I played 2.
I played Undertale, but I suck at the battle and I can't get past Metaton X, and I keep on loading up on glam burgers, but I keep on dying.
I don't know.
So here's what I'm gonna say, Jillian. Okay. What's your favorite game of 2015? First, what did you play from 2015?
Oh, okay. I played The Witcher 3 and I played Fallout 4.
So you think? Yeah. I mean, those are two highly,
yes,
critically acclaimed games.
Mm-hmm. And they were both very good.
Very good. It sucked a lot of time.
Yes.
How long did you play on each game?
That's a good question. I played a lot longer. Right? Yeah, I played a lot longer Fallout. I don't know what it was.
Business,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. There was like half my time was settlements. Those stupid settlements.
So, of those two that you played, what was your favorite? What would you say was the best game of those two?
I think that Fallout 4 was probably better, but I think I liked Witcher 3 just a little bit better. Just because, I don't know.
I mean, Witcher 3 is highly acclaimed.
Yeah, it was. And it was fun to play, and the plot was good, and I think I connected more with the characters, you know?
And Geralt seems more well-rounded in Witcher 3 than he was in Witcher 1.
Well, and even in Witcher 2, he is a lot more well-rounded, I think. Because I think it's partly that he remembers everything, or whatever.
Yeah. So now, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God, I gotta play that game, Jillian.
It's so good.
It's so good. Why is it so good?
Oh, my
I know. I'm putting you
So
on the spot.
hard. I know.
Does this one have sex trading cards?
No.
Sorry.
No, it doesn't have sex trading cards, but I mean, you do have the opportunity to have sex with people. And I mean, and you do see Siri like in her underwear at some point.
Oh,
yeah.
Spice.
Yeah, so I mean, there's stuff, but there's no sex trading cards.
Dang it.
But there is Gwent, and Gwent was amazing.
Gwent, tell me about
Oh my
Gwent.
god, I don't know. I really like card games, and Gwent, it's like you have like 3 different fields, and you have close range fighters and long range fighters, and then you have like archers and like stuff like that. And so you're trying to get a higher score on each field than your opponent.
Nice. I like it. I like that the fact that they have a side game that is so compelling. Like, literally, they invented a card game.
They did invent that card game.
For that game, and it's compelling enough to be a game on its own.
Yeah, if it was a game on its own, I would play it.
So yes, I don't have a vote because I don't deserve a vote because I'm a horrible casual gamer and I have not played enough games. But Jillian's vote is Witcher 3.
Yeah, it is.
Surprise, surprise.
I'm sorry, Fallout 4. I love you, but
I love that probably almost all these entries will be Witcher 3.
And I do want to say I was probably more excited for Fallout 4 to come out. Like Witcher 3, I was like, oh, cool, okay, but I think I had more fun.
Do you think
playing
the expectations had anything to do with it? Like you're like, oh, Witcher 3. Or like, oh, Fallout 4.
I think part of it was that Witcher 3 is a lot easier for me to play because I'm invested in the characters, but not like I am with Fallout 4. So, like, I agonized over all the decisions I made in Fallout 4. And so that kind of...
Interesting.
It adds to the... It adds to why I like Fallout 4, but it also takes away from why I like Fallout 4.
So interesting.
Oh, my God.
No, I'm serious because I would think, like, Fallout characters, are they that compelling?
I don't know. They're you, pretty much, aren't they?
Oh, I see. You're talking about the main guy.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the world built around The Witcher is much richer. Like, I like the gameplay of Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Now I'm all confusing myself.
Well, it's hard for me to pick favorites because I just love them all. I love them all so much.
Love them all.
Yeah.
I gotta play them both.
Mm-hmm. You do. They're fun.
Yes.
They're good.
So that is our answer. Jillian's answer.
Witcher 3.
Witcher 3.
Yes.
Best game 2015. This is Shanna signing off. Jillian, say goodbye.
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 Hey everyone, this is David here, and I am here to talk to you about my favorite game of 2015. Now, 2015 has been a great year for video games. There has been many great games that have come out, and I'm sure many great games that could deserve the title for Game of the Year. So some of these games that have come out in 2015, let's look back. We had Bloodborne that came out, Splatoon, Super Mario Maker, Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain, The Witcher 3, Batman Arkham Knight, and then Undertale. Now, all those games, I would have to say my favorite game of 2015 would be The Witcher 3. Now, this is my first Witcher game that I really got into. I did play a little bit of 2. Didn't really get into it. And then I started on 3. Just from the very beginning of The Witcher 3, I found it great. And even doing every little thing you can in The Witcher, just going from just wandering around in the environment, playing Gwent, their card game, doing main story mission, doing side quests, doing Witcher contracts, and even the side missions, even the tedious ones, from the very first one in White Orchard where you're trying to find a frying pan for one of the townsfolks. It was great. I had a lot of fun with The Witcher 3. I highly recommend that, and if you have not played it, I recommend doing that as soon as you can. Keep up the great work, JJ, Brian, and Mark.
My favorite game of 2015 is a difficult question. I mean, I've already talked about how much I loved Undertale. Metal Gear Solid 5 was pretty fantastic, despite being kind of the worst Metal Gear Solid game. I didn't get enough into The Witcher 3 to really have any opinions on that. Super Mario Maker, that was amazing, revolutionary, exciting. The online communities that have formed around that have been some of the best things to watch in the last year. One of the best games I played in 2015, though, has got to be Dying Light. It came out right at the beginning of the year and kind of flew under a lot of people's radar. This game has you go into the zombie-infested city of Haran, full of parkour, survival, intense nighttime survival horror elements. It's a varied experience with a lot to offer in a lot of different directions. Whether you just want to run around and smash zombies' heads in with baseball bats, you want to craft things, you want to explore and find collectibles, there's something for everyone in this game. And a new expansion pack just came out right at the end of the year, adding new zones, adding vehicles, and a host of new content that is just reinvigorates the entire game, makes it worth jumping back in. If you put your toes in it and didn't really grab on, it's definitely worth checking out again. So that's Dying Light.
And we're back. Thank you to all the contributors once again for providing some great insight into the games of 2015. A lot of Witcher 3 love.
Yeah.
As to be expected.
As there should
As to be
be.
expected. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic game. Dying Light is another one that I was a little interested to hear because I've been curious about the game for a while. So
Hardcore parkour.
I'm glad to find out that it's that it is actually very, very good.
And Mark, I have to admit, not you, Mark the Machine.
Oh, man.
Hey, shout out to you, sir. We may not agree on the fuddy-duddiness of Batman, but we sure do agree on games, on good games. So, big thumbs up.
All right. And as always, if you want to submit to our contributor question, you are more than welcome to do so. Anybody can. FrozenNorthPodcast@gmail.com. Just record yourself 1 to 2 minutes of the question, and I will ask the one for the next episode at the end of this episode. Send it in, and we'll add it to the list and get to hear your voice on the air. Good stuff.
Super good.
So, why don't we get into our top 5 games of 2015, though? We've each come up with a list on our own, and for the most part, I think we've got some crossover.
There's a little bit, yeah.
A little bit. What do we got? We got any honorable mentions?
Yes.
2015?
I do.
Me too.
City Skylines.
Oh, God.
What? Hey! After the disgrace of the last SimCity game, we needed a new city building game to cleanse our palates, and we finally got it.
Nice.
For what it is, it's a very solid game.
Yeah.
Mark's not wrong.
Mark did play it for a little bit, and while I was talking about the boss battle he was coming up to, which was navigating traffic through a city, I was marveling at how cool it looked. So, yeah. So, okay.
Personal taste, and this is just because I'm such a huge fan of Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
I was just about to say.
I got to throw it on there. I think it's the best Dragon Ball game that we've gotten.
Yep.
Personally.
And I love that they had a brand new story to it. Like, I love the story of Dragon Ball Z, but playing the games over and over again and just going through the same story.
Yeah, you know what's going to happen.
Right. So having a brand new narrative to drive and play with all your same characters was fantastic. It was awesome.
Absolutely. What about? I was going to ask you. What about the Order 1886? Would you? Throw
Yeah,
that
that's an honorable mention. It probably would have made my top 5 had there I'd not been another game on my list. It's probably number 6. It was really good. I hate the argument of it wasn't a game, it was mostly cutscenes. Play Metal Gear Solid 4 and then play The Order and go, you can knock the gameplay of 1884. It was a basic cover shooter. Okay? So that I get. But don't tell me the game's bad because it's a cutscene game, because there's plenty of those that people love. I hate that argument.
I think it was the length too that a lot of people had issue with.
It was 8 hours for me. Took me 8 hours. That's not a short game.
Yeah, that's like an Uncharted.
Correct. So I don't get it was beautiful. There's definitely criticism to be had. The gameplay was very basic. It was a standard third-person cover shooter that was not particularly great. But dang, it was the story was fantastic. The voice acting was fantastic. The visuals were fantastic. What's the deal? But yeah, that's my honorable mention. I just had a rant.
Solid.
Mark?
City
Anything
Skylines.
else? That's it. That's all you got.
Wait, After Dark.
Wait After Dark?
City
Well,
Skylines
we don't have
After
that much
Dark.
time. Oh, the expansion.
And the
Mark,
snow
get out of here.
one.
Get out of here.
And the snow one.
Get out of here.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Heaven's Ward, Final Fantasy 14.
Yes, we played that last year too. Whew. Good.
Good stuff. All right, let's get into it. I'll start us off. mostly because I can't really start us off because my number 5 is Fallout 4, which shows up later on somebody else's list, so we'll talk about it then.
Nice. My number 5 is Bloodborne, but it shows up later on somebody else's list, so we'll talk about it then.
My number 5 shows up on nobody else's list because they have bad taste.
Incorrect.
StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void, wrapped up the trilogy that is StarCraft. Unfortunately, underwhelmingly, I didn't really like the ending of it, the last sequence of it at all. But the lead up to it, playing as Artanis and the homeless Protoss trying to find their place in the universe after the events of the first campaigns. Fantastic. Blizzard always has top notch polish and voice acting. They had Q. What's his name? Guy who played Q in Star Trek. What's his
James Woods?
No.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know his name.
Highlight of the voice acting year was him playing the Dark Protoss. I can't even remember the name now, but such good banter between him and Artanis. And I didn't know it was Q at first until
John Delancey.
Yeah, John Delancey. I didn't know it was John Delancey until the credits, and I was like, oh my god, because he was one of my favorite characters in the Legacy of the Void. But a fantastic addition to the StarCraft family of games. Unfortunately, the ending sucked and I hated it. But what are you gonna do?
I just finished the second expansion, so I haven't gotten into it yet. So otherwise, it might be on mine as well because I'm a big StarCraft 2 fan. So number 4, my number 4 is Xenoblade Chronicles X. Shows up later on somebody else's list. I think it's Mark's, right?
Definitely Mark's.
Yeah.
Mark's. Definitely Mark's.
I just got a Wii U
so
and played through it fast. That doesn't sound like me.
So we'll talk about it then.
My number 4 is Fallout 4, which was also JJ's number 5.
Correct.
JJ, what did you love about this game?
I loved Fallout 3, and this was a continuation of that, essentially.
Yeah.
Not story-wise, but gameplay-wise.
Definitely.
But improved upon it. You've got your city building. You can form trade routes between different areas that you've built up and everything. The airship.
Oh, my
It's
goodness.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, there were some really cool cinematic moments, like the first time you see that airship, for instance. This would have been my number 2 if I hadn't had that game-breaking bug towards the end of the game.
I remember that.
So I punished it by dropping it 2 positions on my list.
Bethesda bugs are cute until they break your game.
Right, until it makes it impossible to finish the game.
And it would have been probably higher on mine as well if it wasn't for that it was just very, very same-Z's to Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's not a bad thing because Fallout 3 was phenomenal. So, I mean, great game, just, not going to be
Definitely.
up there even higher for me.
Yeah, I kind of gave people crap when they called it Fallout 3.5 because graphically it's way better than Fallout 3.
Agreed.
But at the same time, a lot of the cool new things they introduced into the game feel like rough drafts that they should have expanded on.
Ironed out.
And maybe, they usually do a few expansions for all their games, so maybe there will be some expansions that improve upon those ideas. But overall, it was pretty awesome.
It makes me excited for the next Elder Scrolls game for sure.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
They need a new engine, though. I'm sorry. They need a new engine. Please don't use the same engine that you used for Fallout 4 and for Skyrim on the new Elder Scrolls. Please. Bethesda, new engine.
Maybe
Please.
Source 2.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway.
All right. Brian, number 4.
My number 4 is Batman Arkham Knight. Rocksteady's last Batman Arkham game, according to them, so we'll see. Really, really good. Would have been my favorite. Origins is my favorite, and I know that's probably going to send shockwaves through the Batman Arkham world, but Origins was my favorite. This game would have eclipsed
He's a fuddy-duddy anyways. What does it
Yeah,
matter?
yeah. I mean, the thing is, I don't like Batman for Batman. Batman's a cool character, but he's very like he's like the silent protagonist, right? I mean, he talks, but he didn't really say anything that's interesting. But it's the people around him. Remember when I talked about that? It's all the characters.
We
that are
all
around
know,
him.
believe me.
So it would have been my favorite Batman game if it weren't for too much reliance on the car. The car was so phenomenal. Like you drive around the Batmobile and like you run into buildings and you break off part of the building. Like it felt like you were driving a tank. However, a lot of the boss fights incorporated the car. And one of my favorite things about like Origins and the boss fights in the other games were like it was Batman versus that person, mano a mano, fist to fist. Really cool. Like the fight scene with God, And I lost my train of thought. Wow.
The Joker.
No, in Origins, the masked assassin. Wow.
Bane?
Slade.
No, yeah, well, his dead shot, not dead.
I
I have no idea.
think Deadshot.
No, I don't know. Anyway, boss fights, visceral boss fights, not driving around in a car shooting a tank. That lost it for me there, but still a great game. Arkham Knight's probably my second favorite Batman Arkham game in the series, behind Origins, and then so the Joker had the best part in that game by far. Mark Hamill killed it. Seriously, always just nailed it. You guys should play that series. It's great.
All right. Number 3. My number 3 is Tales of Zestiria. I know neither of you guys played this, but I mean, it's no secret I'm a huge Tales fan, and this game did not disappoint. Some people, I think, were not as thrilled with it because it didn't really bring anything super new to the series. But for me, I don't know. I've never been one that needs a whole lot of change in games. So the fact that it's the same thing with Fallout 4. That's why it's on my list, because it's very, very similar to Fallout 3. But it didn't need to be super different.
You like what you like.
Exactly. And Tales of Zestiria was just a good old solid JRPG with action combat that I've come to know and love from the Tales series. And the Tales series has done a great job of being one of those, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And this one did not disappoint. The characters were great. The story was decent. I wasn't a big fan of the not being able to have certain party members. I can't say anything without spoiling it. But you basically can never have 3 party members in battle at a time. You'll never have that. You'll only have either 2 or 4. Which I thought was kind of annoying. But the game itself was solid, and there were a lot of moments where I wanted to stand up and cheer just because I am a big sucker for those sappy JRPG moments. And this game didn't disappoint. So that's my number 3, Tales of Zestiria. Mark?
Nice.
Deathstroke. Deathstroke is his name. Oh, God.
There it is.
Deathstroke. Good night. The fight in Arkham
Are you
Origins
having a
was
Deathstroke?
Deathstroke.
Yeah,
God.
right.
It hit me right with... Okay, go ahead. Deathstroke.
Thanks for stepping on my joke.
Sorry. It just hit me.
My number 3 is also a Tales game.
What? Oh, yeah.
Tales from the Borderlands from Telltale Games. And this is just another classic Telltale Games.
Telltale.
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 Oh, man. However you say it. Coffee. You just completely derailed me.
Yes.
It's like all the other games from that studio that shall not be named. God. It's based on, obviously, the Borderlands series. It probably takes place a few years after that.
You were gushing about it.
It's mostly story-based. There's a little bit of rudimentary, not very well put together combat.
Typical
but
Telltale.
not much.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. It's funny most of the time, but once in a while it gears up those heart-wrenching moments, kind of like Borderlands 2 did with that awesome twist that we've talked about. But if you're not big into Borderlands, you're probably not going to enjoy it. So, sorry, JJ.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, everyone knows what Telltale Games is.
There it is.
I'm excited to play it once you were gushing about it. I was reticent. I was like, are they going to be able to capture the Gearbox humor?
You got to give it a full episode before you make up your mind on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I liked it a lot.
Good.
Brian, number 3.
My number 3 is also your JJ number 4, Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Correct.
My favorite JRPG of all time, in fact.
And I think it's the best game on the Wii U.
For sure. God, I put 145 hours into that game before I put it all down.
Woo!
With 82%.
That's almost twice as much as what I put into it, because I put about a 90.
Yeah, and I had 82% survey rate by the time I finished all the side quests and stuff. So,
wow.
Yeah, great game. I've gushed about it before, but that's the kind of JRPG that I like.
If you like mechs,
yeah,
it's just, I mean, it's a swan song to mech lovers. I absolutely just love the exploration factor of it, and it's a big reason why I'm looking forward to No Man's Sky, is because I hope to get that sort of thing. Exploration to me has always been secondary to story and gameplay, but holy crap, in that game, it's all I wanted to do was go out and just see the world. And then when you finally get flying mechs and stuff like that, it's like, dude, game over. This is incredible. And this, I didn't think the story was as bad as people said.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was okay. It wasn't like anything to write home about, but the potential for future installments, I think, is awesome.
Cool twist at the end. Cool twist.
Very, very cool. So great game, Xenoblade Chronicles X. If you have a Wii U, I mean, treat yourself. Pick it up.
It's definitely good. But turn the music down when you go to New LA. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, God. It's terrible.
Yep.
All right. Number 2. My number 2 is Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. You guys haven't played this.
Nope.
Man.
I'm excited to. I own it. Just haven't played it.
Unbelievable game. I mean, you saw me playing a little bit when you came in today. Those of you that watch when I stream and stuff, you've been seeing me play a little bit of that as well. Dude, I've only played Metal Gear Solid 2, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun. I not really like. I think partially this is because I haven't played any of the other ones, but it wasn't as memorable to me as other people have made it out to be. But this one, the gameplay is just so freaking good, and the graphics look amazing, obviously. But like, I don't know, there's just something about it. The amount of options you have to tackle each mission are astounding. It's like there's no one way to do a certain mission. Like, so the other day I was playing one, and those of you that were watching on stream, like, I was freaking out in chat because I was so excited about how it happened. So there was this mission where I had to blow up a bunch of armored transports, and they're like all over the map. So you have to run around like crazy trying to get them, you know, as many as you can. And so all you have to do is blow up one, and you complete the mission. But there's, I think, like 6 that you can actually blow up, and you just have to get them before they reach the edge of the map and they leave. So I get one, knock it out. I get 2, 3, 4. One of them escapes, and I'm like, well, crap. There's one left, and it's like freaking super far away. I'm like, oh crap, there's no way I'm gonna get to it. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. So I call it an airstrike, and you have to wait like 10-15 seconds before the airstrike actually comes down. So there's no way to know for sure if I'm actually going to hit it. I can see where it's driving on my map, and I can choose a point for the airstrike to go. And I timed it just perfectly. And I just see the explosions in the distance, and I said mission complete. And I threw my hands up in the air, and I was going crazy.
That's fun.
You know, I didn't have to get onto a really fast vehicle and drive up there and place C4 on the side or blow it up with a rocket launcher or stuff. I could have done that if I wanted to. There's so many different avenues you can take to each mission, and that's so cool. You can go in guns ablazing, you can go stealth. I find that basically makes it very, very easy to talk about with other people, to be like, well, my experience was this, and this is how I approached it. And I think that's always just a great thing for a video game to have. So that's my number 2, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
That's very cool.
My number 2 was a walking simulator.
I mean, you're not wrong.
JJ played this game as well. This
would be my number 6.
Nice. I think that's fair. It's Everybody's Gone to the Rapture by the Chinese Room. If you've played Dear Esther, you've got sort of a basic idea of what this game's going to be about. Mm-hmm. I don't know who you are in this game. That's kind of the point. You are essentially walking through a British village, like a rural countryside and a village in the 80s. I think it's the 80s. It feels like the 80s to me.
Maybe.
And you're watching orbs of light that represent like the souls of people, or the essence or something of people that have been left behind, seeing their experiences throughout their, few days that this event takes place during. And how do I even talk about this without...
You find like notes and radio transmissions and recordings and stuff from these events that had happened before this, the rapture, essentially.
Yeah, essentially.
Kind of, there's really no other way to explain it.
It kind of centers around these 2 characters who are scientists who work at the Vallis Observatory, who witnessed there's something happening in the constellations that comes down. It's this disembodied intelligence basically, and it's taking people away. People are being raptured away somewhere, and they don't understand what's happening. People react to it in different ways. Some are afraid. They maybe
some of the stories you may not even finish.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
It's literally just an open world, and you are looking for the fragments of these memories and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's probably the best looking game of 2015 for the PlayStation 4 at the very least.
It's up there.
It's
sure.
almost photorealistic the way it looks.
It's haunting.
Incredibly good music, haunting.
The music is phenomenal.
It'll give you chills.
Yep. Yeah, many times I got chills in that.
The stuff that makes it special though is all spoilers. So
right, yeah, it's hard to, and it's not very long. So I encourage people to definitely go check it out.
Yeah,
I think I beat it in maybe 3-4 hours, if that. Which you could stretch that if you were really thorough.
Yeah, and try and find everything.
Try to find everything. Yeah, but yeah, everybody's gone to the Rapture. It's a download on the PS Store. I highly recommend it if you like story games, story driven narratives. It's just Mark and I had a really long conversation afterwards about it. Like, well, what do you think about this? Well, what's your theory on this? Because that's kind of what this game begs for afterwards is your interpretation,
some discussion,
and then trying to you kind of like talk to somebody else about it and put the clues together and be like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Oh, you found this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Well, that kind of meets up with what I found here, and that kind of stuff. So phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Brian, number 2.
My number 2 is also Mark's number 5, and coincidentally, it's Bloodborne.
Hey, high five!
Hey, so Mark, you only beat first 2 bosses?
That
2 or 3?
That sounds correct.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
So Mark's barely into it, but it's good enough that he put it on his top 5.
Yes,
and I can concur. It's made by the same people who make the Dark Souls and Demon Souls games. It's very much in that vein, but it's got I love, and you're not even quite there yet in that game. I love how it kind of starts pulling the veil back as you play a little bit more. Yeah. At first, you're like, "Oh, cool, Bram Stoker's Dracula," or like Werewolf in London. Cool, that's a sweet little premise, right? And then you start fighting, and then you start noticing some weird. You're like,
I should explain the reason I didn't get too far into this game is because there's a saying that goes along with this game, and that's "get good."
Get good.
And I'm not very good.
Souls games are punishing. Souls games are unapologetically punishing. There's no difficulty scale. It is just extremely hard. And
when I realized I had basically hit a wall and I wasn't good enough,
right.
I kind of delved into all the stuff I was missing to see what was there in the game.
Right.
And even though it's not my cup of tea personally, I think this is probably number 2, the second best game of the year.
Yeah. It had the best atmosphere I've played in any game in a long time, and like I said, it kind of pulls the veil back as you play more. Where you go Werewolf in London to all of a sudden, whoa, this is a little bit Lovecraftian to the point where you're literally, okay, this is a Lovecraftian nightmare basically.
And the level design, I mean, if you've played the other games, you know what it is, but it's almost Metroidvania-esque.
Very.
The way it's extremely latticed and layered.
Correct. Like there's a gate at the very beginning that's locked when you first get there, and only till like the very end of the game do you finally open that gate up. The world's very interconnected. That's how Souls games are. Most prevalently Dark Souls 1. 2 was a little bit more disjointed, but Dark Souls 1, same kind of deal. The whole, you open shortcuts that's the whole point of the game. So if you die in a Bloodborne game or a Souls game, and you've made a lot of progress, all those enemies are back, and you lose all your experience unless you go retrieve your souls / in this situation, Pale Blood, right? So opening shortcuts is kind of your way of checkpoints, right? But the game, I beat every single boss in that game, optional and otherwise, and the hidden boss at the end of the narrative. And most of the Chalice Dungeon bosses, and I hadn't beat all the Chalice Dungeon bosses. Chalice Dungeons seem a little bit too repetitive for me to continue on with.
Right.
But
you heard Mark the Machine mention his Lovecraft fanboyism.
Yeah,
that definitely comes into play in this game. There's
Big
something
time.
called insight that you gain as you go through the game, and as you gain more insight, there are some adverse effects to that.
Yeah, it's not a big spoiler, but at one point, if you go over a certain, so you're traipsing through like a London city, and you can see the skyline. If you're under a certain amount of insight, just looks like a skyline at night. Over a skyline, there are these creatures called amygdalas, which are like almost spider-like long. I mean, it's like think of a Cthulhu type character, and you see them all over these buildings, and they're giant, and you go, oh, okay, and you get the goosebumps because you're like, they are everywhere, and so it's just seriously Bloodborne. If you have
the skill,
if you have the, it's actually not. It's if you have the patience to gain the skill to overcome its brutal difficulty, it's quite a treat.
Mark's never been a member of a raiding guild before, so he's not really
accustomed.
Been up to bashing his head against the wall over and over again until you take him down.
Yeah. Yep. No, there were some bosses that I spent. I think there was one boss in particular I spent probably about 6 hours attempting to beat, and finally beat him, and you just get that sense of like,
That's how it is, Mark.
Yeah.
It's rewarding though. Mm-hmm. It is.
Yep. I definitely experienced it with the first few bosses.
Yeah, you're gonna mention
yeah.
I was actually proud of myself when I beat
the Cleric
the Bloodstained. Oh, the Cleric Beast.
Cleric Beast, yep.
Yep.
That's the first big wall in the game. Like, and it's funny, once you get like halfway through and you go back and replay the Cleric Beast, like if you start a new character and you realize how simple that boss is compared to how good you are now, it really, really, really draws the attention to how craftily the game's designed. You're like, wow, I'm so much better now.
Well, the thing that was so challenging to me is just these bosses you fight are immense, and there's so much to look at.
Well,
I don't even know where my eyes are supposed to be.
Yeah, no, it's great. Bloodborne, Souls games, they're not for everybody. Unfortunately, they're not. They're going to turn a lot of people off.
But they're so well
brutal,
made.
But they're so well made. Yep. So that's my number 2. Mark's number 5. We've gushed long enough.
All right, number 1. My number 1 is the same as everybody's.
Yep.
Go figure. Mark, what's our number 1?
Our number 1 is
Brian,
The Witcher
what's our
3.
number 1?
The Witcher 3.
Our number 1 is The Witcher 3.
You know what I like about this game?
Just wanted to take the wind out of the sails again.
Oh. Do you know what I liked about this game? It was easy.
Well, it had a difficulty
Depends on
slider.
how you play it.
Yeah, it had a difficulty slider where I
played it on easy.
I played it on a little harder of a difficulty.
I played it on medium,
yeah,
normal, whatever.
I don't know that necessarily that it was easy. It was just the combat is very, very basic. There's not much to it. There's just not like, other than like if you take alchemy out of the equation, there's really not a lot of room for creativity when it comes to combat in that game. You're pretty much just running up, hacking and slashing, and you're choosing which of the two swords to use. That's about it. So because there's not many options to go with, it could be considered very easy.
Yeah. It's also a beautiful game, though.
Oh,
gorgeous.
And it was even like, it does look a little worse on the draw distance isn't as good, and there's not as much foliage. But even on the PlayStation 4, it's top notch.
And it's not just the power of the graphics; it's the art design as well.
It's the world design, and that's a big part of.
I have a friend, Matt, not Hembry, the other Matt. He's been talking to me about the amazing, about the amazing weapon design and the armor design and how the armor's actually functional in this game. It's not just designed to look cool; it's actually accurate.
Yeah, it looks like what you would be wearing back then if you were
I think my favorite aspect of the game, though, it honestly has nothing to do with the way it looks, but like the fact that yes, the overall story is phenomenal, but every single side quest, down to like the smallest fetch quests, have this like huge detailed backstory, that is impacting not necessarily Geralt, but the people that are directly there. Like, I don't know, the one where this old guy comes up to you and he's like, "There's this monster that's been terrorizing our village, and he's been doing it forever, and you need to go kill him." And then this other guy comes to you later on. He's like, "Hey, if you kill that guy, then our village is never going to be prepared for anything." And
yes,
gonna be,
that was what I was thinking of.
And so you have to make the choice on which to.
Because it's like, he's been making our villagers strong for generations.
Absolutely,
you're going to make them soft if you kill this guy.
Right.
And you have to. There's not a right choice. It's just
the whole game is one big gray area. And you are basically just like observing what happens, but you're making the call on which way it's going to go.
It is so crafted. And you think like that kind of quest, hey, go kill a monster, would just be like, okay, go kill a monster, go back, here's your reward, thank you. It's never like that in The Witcher.
Nope.
One of mine that stood out in the first one that I realized this game was a little special was you just riding around on Roach, and then you come up to this guy who's kind of kneeling down by a rock, and He's like, "Sir, can you help me? My wagon veered off the road and crashed, and I've lost all my supplies. Can you just go get it? It's only like 20 feet away, but it's surrounded by drowners." And you're just like, "Okay, just go get some experience." I'm thinking, okay, I was just a little go fetch quest, right? So you go, and then you do either your investigation, and you're like, girl starts to be like, "That's weird. Like there are arrows in the wagon. Drowners don't shoot arrows."
Mm-hmm.
And then you notice the driver of the wagon's like punctured with arrows, and you're just like, "Okay, what's going on?" You go back. The guy that asked you to go get the medicine supplies, has a bow and arrow. You put 2 and 2 together, so you confront him as Geralt. You're like, "Hey, are you a bandit?" And the guy's like, "Look, I'm with the Nilfgaardian camp. We've got sick and wounded people, and I need medicine. So I did what I had to do." And you, as Geralt, you choose like, "Well, no, I'm going to keep the medicine." You go on your way. You can kill the guy, or you can give him the medicine. It's like, that's huge. That's just a tiny little, "Hey, my wagon wrecked in the swamp. Can you go get it?" Like that little side quest had huge story narrative to the world as a whole. And it's just so fantastic about the game. Like that's just a tiny little side quest that pops up while you're riding around.
The world feels lived in. Mark and I,
Yes.
we've mentioned that before. You could, even if there were no quests in that game, it'd still be a hell of a game to just walk around and explore and see what's going on in everybody's day-to-day lives.
Mm-hmm.
You particularly like
everyone's-
Skellige Islands.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone's talked about the Baron quest line, which I think it is fantastic, and it's probably the iconic quest line in the game. But the transformation that Novigrad goes through from start to finish in that game is also just incredible.
You really liked the political intrigue in Novigrad, didn't you?
Yes.
Yep. That's for those who were like, into like the the political dramas and stuff. Novigrad is so. I mean, it's not as like. It's very, like you said, very like shaping Novigrad as what it is, and
right,
because when you first go into Novigrad, you're greeted to a pretty horrific scene, and you're like, "What?
How can it get worse?"
Yeah, how what is happening here? And it does.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't played Witcher 3, dude,
you gotta play it.
Like even if you're like I was, and you were a little like worried after playing 1 and 2 because it wasn't super my cup of tea. All that was thrown out the window when I played Witcher 3. It's one of the best games I've ever played, hands down.
Bold statement here. I think this is the best made game I've ever played.
I think so too. I agree.
I mean, for me, I can't say that, but I played it right when it launched, so there were some issues.
I can see that.
But they were so quick at fixing them. Like, remember the XP bug that I experienced? That when they discovered that, I think it took them 2 weeks to find it, fix it, patch it, and done.
CD Projekt Red killed it.
Yeah,
there's no other way to say it.
They really did. They really didn't do a service to the bigger studios who were like, bugs are a part of the game. When you're like, I'm sorry, this studio who's half your size made a bigger game than you did, and they fixed their bugs way faster than you did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there it is, our game of the year, The Witcher 3.
Yep.
Phenomenal game.
It's so good.
All right. So, our contributor question for episode number 86 is, what game do you feel deserves a sequel but never got one? I think we know Mark's answer.
City Skylines.
Sweet. Probably sweet
Yes.
in.
No, cities.
I'm hesitant to say, like, I kind of want to put it like a stipulation on this because I clearly I think Mark would say Suikoden, and I probably would too, but there's like 5 games in the series.
Maybe a game that never got a sequel.
Game that like is on like a standalone game.
Yep.
That's that needs a sequel that you think. So we'll go and do that. Yeah, like I said before, if you want to submit something, by all means, anybody is welcome to, or you can, send it an email. I'd be happy to read it on the air as well. FrozenNorthPodcast@gmail.com, 1 to 2 minutes, and send us your stuff. I think that about wraps up episode number 85. Do you guys have anything else?
I don't.
All right, then with that, this is the Frozen North signing off for episode number 85. Once again, and as always, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. My name is JJ.
My name's Mark.
My name is Brian.
And as always, keep on gaming.
Our theme song was made available through the Creative Commons Attribution license by Ziphoid. The song title is Radical Fanfare.